If you master your emotions, you absolutely master your business. I see this so much on a daily basis as agents that have had work with me, or just business partners, or just people in general, whether it's clients, is what's killing people every single day, and what's destroying your business, what's destroying your cash flow, and what's destroying your ability to see things clearly is quite simply your emotions. I've had salespeople come in, start doing a great job, start doing really well, and something goes wrong within their life, and then for some reason, or even they can be doing too good and they cannot believe it, and then they can just struggle with keeping that inner balance. And I found that it's probably the most important thing when you're looking at working, or you're looking at building a business in any sort of way, is first of all, you have to master and control yourself, and you have to control these emotions. Is what I like to practice, is complete detachment away from the outcome. So as if it's a deal, or if it's a business deal, to completely detach myself from whether it goes good or whether it goes bad. This kind of goes back to a lot of my beliefs within Stoicism and things like that. Is I think within life's outcomes, you should always detach yourself from it, and just know that as long as you tried your absolute best with the best of the ability that you had, and the best you were able to do in that moment, then that is good enough. As I watch people stressing over outcomes, getting anxious over outcomes, destroying themselves internally over outcomes. And really, as long as you know that you did everything you could possibly do to the best of your ability, then really the outcome doesn't matter. Now, what breaks my heart is when I see somebody or an agent that we have working that didn't put the effort in, that didn't do the deal the best they could do, and then the big deal still goes through. And it's actually worse, because what happens here is it starts to train a bad habit where they can just get by with things, or they can just do things this way, or they can just sneak things in. And I hate that, because what that's going to do is you may get away with it once or twice or three times, but slowly over time, it's going to completely deteriorate what you're doing or what you're trying to build, because you're actually not building, you're slowly draining from what you're creating, and you're draining with each deal, and you're draining with each time, and you may get away with it for so long. And I think this is what a ton of salespeople do wrong, what a ton of people in business do wrong, is they get there, they start draining it, they start slacking, and they start draining their clients, they start draining every single thing they can, every single resource, until a point where they're all empty, and then they no longer want to do business with them anymore. And I think this really comes from the emotion, and this emotion that there's a lack of things, and that there isn't enough, and they have to take things in order to succeed. Whereas it may sound fairly cheesy or comical, but I think as if you do come from a place of abundance where you realize there's enough really to go around, you lose this fear. So it's really, you're either operating out of one of either of the two emotions. You're either operating out of fear, or you're operating out of love. It gets more complex than that, but really, if you break down every single emotion, they end up in either one of these two places. So I think when you lead from love and you lead from abundance, it's a lot easier to master your emotions. It's a lot easier to sit calmly in a situation where you could lose technically a lot of money. I've been in those situations. I've lost a $50,000 deal. I've lost a $100,000 deal. And you know what? To me, it's nothing. The next day will be better. As I honestly can say, and anybody that works with me and works in my company can say to you, that they see me lose these things and they're confused, because it really doesn't make a difference at all in the long run. I'm used to losing. I'm used to coming from a survival mentality, to whereas losing isn't a surprise to me. But once I win, as long as I won in the correct way, or win in the correct way where I did things correctly, I'm a lot more satisfied than the times when I got lucky. So I found that it's a constant battle with your emotions of what you think that you deserve, what you think your capabilities are. And once you start to master these and realize you have no idea at all to what your actual capabilities are, not even close. Is I still don't to this point. Is you're always learning and growing and evolving, and really seeing where those limits exist. And I feel like the more you push, the more you realize that they don't exist at all. They were always completely and utterly with your mind. The issue is with people whenever they do start doing well or they're not doing well, there's this fear, then there's this lack, and then the emotions start to eat at them, and then they get sick, and then they have an issue, and then they get frustrated, then they get mad, then they get impatient, and then they're like, why am I not making the money? Why am I not? And I'm sure you've gone through these millions of different scenarios in your head to a point where you're so frustrated and tense that no client, no customer, no business person is going to want to deal with you, just because you need it and you want it so bad that you're trying so hard. So as you're chasing these things, you're actually pushing them further away rather than bringing them into you. And I think this is a very important emotional concept, life concept, business concept, whatever you want to call it, that is when you are doing the right thing and you know you are doing the right thing and you can tell people that you're helping them to do the right thing, you become extremely, extremely powerful within your own being and as a business person and as a salesperson, because you're doing the right thing. Now, the trick here is you have to be doing the right thing. If you're not, you'll be torn and conflicted, and internally turmoil will end up breaking you for some way, reason, how, because it'll end up being collecting debit in the wrong way, and you'll have to, essentially you're collecting credit at some point that will be due, if you look at karma and believe in things that way, which I certainly do. So I think you have to master yourself, and you can't go out there and conquer the world until you've mastered yourself in a way that you know yourself, you know your flaws, you know your emotions, and you know to stay calm and steady in all emotionally intense situations. What we deal with in real estate is specifically meant to be emotionally intense, because you're dealing with individuals or businesses that are dealing with very, very large purchases, dealing with very serious things, dealing with their life. It's going to be emotionally intense. Now, you have to be empathetic to that, all the while not getting drawn into the emotion too much in order to upset anything. So you have to be counterbalanced with both. This is very difficult for people to do. That's why it's a fairly difficult profession. It's an easy profession in order to do the straightforward things that you have to do, but navigating people is never really an easy thing, or navigating individuals or helping them do stuff. So something I want you to think about is your own emotions, how to gain control of them, whether it's whatever you do, whether it's working out, meditating, this, that, and the other, in order to get, but I think most importantly is self-awareness of yourself and how your own emotions are being, and keeping a trigger on those in order to keep them counterbalanced, in order to be able to go out there, show your best self, be true to yourself, operate from a place of love, abundancy, and positivity, and you become amazingly attractive with everything that you're trying to do, and things become an awful lot easier, and you're operating in the right mode of life and the right mode of business, and people want to work with you, they want to refer you, and you start to grow, and you're building up your snowball of debit rather than this credit of doing things incorrectly. You're building your business rather than drawing from your resources. And those are two very different things, which I'll go on about in a different video. But first and foremost, you have to learn to control these emotions in order to be able to control your day-to-day basis, in order to be able to even start to get out there and build some sort of business or build some sort of sales.